Hello, Wonderhussy here in the beautiful and wrongly maligned high desert of Southern California. I've been poking around the high desert for the last several videos because there is an incredible amount of interesting stuff out here, including right here where I am today. Now, you might look at this barren, scraggly patch of desert and wonder what in tarnation could be interesting enough to have driven all the way out here. What are you smoking, Wonderhussy? Well, I'm here to tell you that this is actually a very interesting site with a very interesting and very sad history. Okay, this is the site of the Hawes Auxiliary Airfield. It was a World War II training airfield, I guess, for the pilots in World War II. And then in the Cold War, it became part of the United States Emergency Communications System, or Emergency Communications Network, I guess. The military had this program called SLFCS, which stands for Survivable Low Frequency Communication System. Basically, that's a radio network designed to function even after a nuclear attack. Okay, so I guess during the Cold War, from the 1960s all the way through the 1980s, there was a 1,200-foot high tower here with a 2-story underground bunker that was full of communications equipment for this emergency communication network used for low-frequency communications by the Strategic Air Command. Okay, does that make any sense to you? Because it doesn't make much sense to me. My layperson's understanding was they used this, I guess, really slow form of radio waves that would work even in the aftermath of a nuclear war, so the military could communicate and try to scramble whatever was left to fight back against the Ruskies. I mean, 1960s to 1980s, that was who we were at war with, I guess. The Ruskies, that was our enemy back then. Well, I was going to say how times have changed, but, sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same. Anyway, there was once a 1,200-foot high tower here with this 2-story underground bunker, but eventually the military, I guess, decommissioned it in the mid-1980s. I guess by the mid-1980s, the Cold War was basically over. Glasnost, wasn't that Gorbachev's thing? They all wanted blue jeans and McDonald's. Once that first Pizza Hut opened in Moscow, it was game over for the Soviets. Once them Ruskies got a taste of that delicious Pizza Hut, well, communism had no chance. Anyway, all that stuff that used to be here was demolished, repurposed, recycled, whatever. And the tower was knocked over, but they left the 2-story underground bunker, which was somewhere, I think, right around where I'm standing or where I'm parked. But there is absolutely no trace of it at all in 2026. Anyway, the reason why there is absolutely no trace left of the 2-story underground bunker is actually a really, really sad story. So I actually remember hearing about this back in 2008. The bunker was still here up till 2008, and it was kind of a party spot for the local kids out in these high desert communities. Okay, I think I'm technically within the city limits of Helendale, California. If you've ever been to Helendale, really interesting place, but it's pretty far that way. I would say we're closer to the town of Hinckley. If you remember Hinckley from my Lighthouse video, Hinckley's the town from Aaron Brockovich, where the people were getting poisoned by PG&E because they had this natural gas pipeline that was, well, it's a long story, but they were leaking these toxic chemicals into the groundwater, and consequently, most people ended up having to move away from Hinckley. PG&E bought them all out and bulldozed the homes. So we're closer to Hinckley than we are to Helendale, but technically we're in Helendale. Either way, all the kids from all these local desert communities used to come out here and party in this underground bunker. I guess it was like a big rave spot. I mean, think about it. You live in Helendale, Boron, Hinckley. Where are you going to go party if you're a teenager? It's not like there's raging nightclubs in Hodge, okay? And if you're from this area, you know what I mean when I say Hodge. There's not even any place to go party in Barstow. So there was this 2-story abandoned Cold War bunker, and that was the best place that the kids had to get together. And so they did. They would come out here, party, drink beer, listen to music, which apparently some people do still come out here to do. Bunker or no bunker, isn't that a Modelo bottle? Now, I'm not a beer drinker, but even I can recognize the distinctive shape of a Modelo bottle after all my years of roaming around the desert. Anyway, back in the day when this bunker was here, bunches of people would come hang out and party, and I guess things got pretty wild until one night in, I think it was early January 2008, there was a big party out here that ended in a double murder. And this is like one of the saddest true crime stories I ever read. Okay, so there were these two teenage kids from, I think they were from Helendale, Cody and Bodhi. Okay, I know it's kind of funny that their names rhymed, but Cody was the guy, C-O-D-Y, and the girl was Bodhi, B-O-D-H-I. I guess her mom was like a Buddhist, because I think her brother's name was Zen. Anyway, Cody and Bodhi were out here at one of these parties in this abandoned bunker, and they weren't just some burnout desert kids. They were actually, by all accounts, really smart, accomplished, artistic, sensitive, intelligent kids. They both went to, there's like this fancy, what do you call those? Charter schools over there in Victorville, I think, Apple Valley, Victorville, for all the smart kids in the high desert. And I think they both went to that. Cody was an excellent musician. He was 18. He had already graduated, I guess, and was working, but supposedly he could pick up any musical instrument and learn how to play it within 30 minutes. He was an excellent musician, and Bodhi was really artistic herself. I think she was an aspiring filmmaker, and they were both really good. They got good grades at the school. Bodhi was only 16. She was still going to school. Anyway, my point is, they weren't just some rowdy country kids getting down on the farm, drinking beer, tipping cows, you know, having sex in the bushes. No, these were upstanding kids with extremely bright futures. Unfortunately, they chose to come party in this abandoned bunker one night when the wrong people rolled into town, okay? This particular night, these three dudes from LA came to the party. Now, the high desert has kind of a funny relationship with the people of Los Angeles. LA is that way. You might be able to see in the very far distance the outline of a mountain range. Well, I think those are the San Bernardino Mountains, and those are the mountains that separate the high desert from the Los Angeles basin. And it's kind of one reason why the people of LA look down their noses at the high desert. You know, people who can't afford to live in LA move up here to the high desert, and a lot of them even commute to work down the hill. That's what they call it up here, going down the hill. What a quaint way of putting it when it's actually an odious process to go to. Anybody who's ever gone through the Cajon Pass down into Los Angeles, especially during rush hour, knows that it is not an enjoyable prospect, let alone having to do it twice a day, 5 days a week. But that's what they call it here, going down the hill to work. The people in LA kind of look on the high desert people as desert trash, I guess. And in some cases, that may be warranted. But in other cases, the real trash comes up the hill from Los Angeles, as is the case with the story I'm telling you right now. These three jagoffs from LA, these three teenage jagoffs, decided to come up to the high desert for a camping trip. At least that's what the one kid told his dad. I think there was three guys. One of them was 16, one was 18, and one was 19, I think. And two of them, their fathers were LAPD officers. So the middle kid, the 18-year-old, I think it was his idea. He, by all accounts, was a troubled youth. Like if you went to his MySpace page back then, which I'm sure it's been taken down now, but back then, he had all these pictures of himself posing with guns. And this was 2008, okay? Columbine had already happened, but there hadn't been that many school shootings. So I guess people weren't that aware of red flags and some dude posting all kinds of pictures of himself with these guns on MySpace. And there's nothing wrong with posting for pictures with guns. I've done so myself. But he was also writing this horrible stuff on his MySpace page about how he wants to kill people. And I mean, he sounded like he has actually real mental problems. Anyway, he told his dad he wanted to go camping for the weekend with his buddies, and so he asked his dad if he could borrow a couple guns, like rifles, and his dad said, "Sure, son." And I don't know guns. I can't remember what kind of rifles he brought out here, but they looked big and nasty in the photos I saw online. Anyway, he really wanted to come out here to kill somebody. I think he told the two guys that came with him, you know, I'm gonna commit the perfect crime. You know, it's kind of like a modern day Leopold and Loeb. Remember Leopold and Loeb in Chicago back in the, what was that, like back in the 1920s? Those two rich kids that decided to try and commit the perfect crime. And I'll be honest, who among us hasn't thought, I mean, I spend a lot of time out here in the middle of nowhere, and I do listen to a lot of serial killer podcasts, and, you know, I have idly considered, oh gosh, you know, I know all these places in the desert. I know all these abandoned mine shafts. It would be real easy to dispose of a body. Luckily, I'm not a psychopath or a sociopath. I would never kill anyone and act on that, but, you know, lots of people say that. Well, this kid said he wanted to come commit the perfect crime, and so he ended up coming out here to this underground bunker all the way from Covina, California, which is way down in the LA basin off I-10. I don't know how long it would take you to get out here from Covina, but probably a couple hours. Anyway, the three of them drove up here from Covina and got to the party, and there was already, I think, like 30 kids partying out here, and so these three strange dudes from LA come down into the bunker and, hey, do you guys mind if we join your party? Well, the country kids were like, no, go ahead, come on. I mean, they're probably excited to see some fresh blood out here. You get tired of looking at the same people and having sex with the same cousin. Kidding. I actually have nothing but the utmost respect for the high desert, which is why I'm out here shooting this series of videos showing you guys all the interesting stuff that's out here. Anyway, these three dudes from LA joined the party, and I guess just sort of like twiddled their thumbs, biding their time until it was time to kill somebody. Oh, look, I just found a metal washer. It's like there's hardly anything at all left here from this. I'm guessing after the murders, they came in here with 10 truckloads of gravel. I mean, you can kind of see how it's striped behind me. It does look like maybe they scraped it all out with a bulldozer. I might be standing right on top of the bunker right now, for all I know. It's been 2008. It's been 18 years since this happened. So, you know, 18 years. A lot of sagebrush can grow up in 18 years. Anyway, the three bad jagoffs from down in LA waited until the end of the party when everybody started to leave. And they waited until everyone was gone and there was just one car left. And that was, sadly, the Jeep, I think, belonging to Cody. Remember, Cody was 18. He'd already graduated. He had some kind of job that he worked all day, but he got off in time to go pick up Bodhi from high school. I'm telling you, I know it sounds like I'm sugarcoating this, but they really did sound like and look like, I looked at their pictures, the sweetest, nicest kids. It's just terrible that this happened to them. Anyway, they were the two left at the end of the party, and they were hanging out in Cody's Jeep, probably just trying to make out or something. You know, 16 and 18, you know how that goes. You got all them hormones raging, and they both came from good families, so it's not like they could just go do it in the ditch out back. You know, their parents kept them on tight leashes. You know, they knew where these kids were pretty much at all times, and I'm sure they knew they were out here. It was just a place kids came to party, and they knew they would come home at a reasonable hour. But unfortunately, they didn't from this party because, I mean, I don't know who to believe. The one guy sounded like he was the ringleader, but one of the other dudes that was with him, the youngest guy, the 16-year-old, they put him as the lookout. So I don't think he really had anything to do with the shootings. But the other guy, I think when they did the forensics, because spoiler alert, both Cody and Bodhi, I guess they went and took them out of the Jeep and brought them back down into the bunker and shot them both in the head, like executioner style. But when they did the forensics, it looked like the trajectory of one of the bullets had come from a different angle. And so they think the other kid had more to do with it than he alleged during the trial. Because, of course, during the trial, I didn't do anything. It was the other guy. He just led me into it. Whatever the case, they ended up shooting and murdering both Cody and Bodhi. And so when Cody and Bodhi didn't come home, their parents, they had good families, parents wondered where they were, called the police started asking around. They knew they were going out here to this bunker, so the police came to check and found the two dead bodies in the bunker. And I don't remember how they discovered who did it. It took a couple weeks. It was unsolved for a couple weeks. But I think maybe the third guy ratted on him. One of the guys blabbed to one of his friends or something. And they ended up getting busted and hauled into court and eventually stood trial for the murders. And the main guy, the ringleader, and I'm not going to say his name because he doesn't deserve any notoriety whatsoever. He's a total scumbag. I mean, yeah, he has mental problems. I guess it's unfair to call him a scumbag, but golly, how do you kill 2 people like that in cold blood? It's just terrible. Anyway, he did end up getting sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, I'm pretty sure, back around, I think, 2014 or something. So he's off the scene. The other kid, I think, is off the scene at least for a while. And the third kid, presumably, was scared straight. Unfortunately, that doesn't bring back Cody and Bodhi, but at least it does bring some sense of closure, I guess, to the family. I don't know. I mean, closure is cold comfort. You'd rather have your kid back. But look here. See how that grass is growing in those weird stripes? Maybe that's because this was all backfilled. That's my best guess. I don't know exactly where this bunker was. But, man, I would like to leave some kind of little memento or something. I feel, man, reading that story was really sad to me. And there's no memorial shrine or anything to what happened here. Assuming this is the place, and if you're watching and you know exactly where the bunker was, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm out here now, and I happen to have some of those little roses I like to put on graves. So maybe what I'll do is I'll take this beer bottle that somebody left out here, and I'll make a little memorial of my own. There. Now, at least there's something to remember these 2 young people whose lives were taken so senselessly. And I know it's not cool to leave plastic trash in the desert. I tried to anchor this bottle down pretty well with rocks and sort of nestle it in these bushes, so hopefully it doesn't blow away tomorrow. And I don't even know if this is the exact spot where it happened, so maybe it's pointless to put that there. But I don't know. I was looking at the ground right in front of where my car is parked, and the gravel goes in this weird spiral. Now, either that's because people come out here and do donuts, or it's because of the way they backfilled it. And maybe the bunker was like right here where we're standing. Okay, I was actually gonna make this kind of like a 2-part video because there's something else really interesting just over there. But then I thought about it and like, it would be kind of disrespectful to the story of Cody and Bodhi to do that. So I changed course and I thought to myself, well, maybe I should look at Google Maps historic images to see, you know, you can go on Google Satellite or Google Earth Pro and see historical satellite imagery from like 20 years ago of a place. I'll just look at that. I happen to have my laptop with me. And see if I can see the bunker where it was. So I went on Google Earth Pro and went back. Well, the satellite imagery isn't very good back in the 1980s, but there was some satellite imagery from 2006, just before the incident happened. And so the tower should have been there in 2006, but looking at this satellite imagery from 2006, there was no... Well, the tower had already been knocked over, but there should be some opening to this 2-story underground bunker. And I looked all over the place. I could not find anything that looked like the opening to a bunker. But there was this kind of one area of disturbed desert that looked like it maybe had some stuff on it that maybe was a portal to a 2-story underground bunker. And so I thought, well, I'll just drive over there and check it out. Unfortunately, the dang government closed the road. They put up those red route closed signs, wilderness area or whatever, or they don't want you to go poking around in this area. But you're allowed to walk through those areas. I'm perfectly legally walking across the desert. It's only a half a mile to where I think maybe there was an opening to this bunker. And if there was, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go all the way back and get that memorial and bring it back out here. But as I was hiking along through this patch of totally random desert, I saw this plastic jar sort of nestled under this bush, like I did with my little memorial. You know, I put it under a bush with some rocks, and so you can see that does work. This empty nut jar or whatever it was. didn't blow away over the years, and there's something in it. And I kind of looked at it through the glass. It's a geocache, you guys. Okay, have you heard of geocaching? I guess it's when people leave random stuff in the desert for other people to find. I guess they post the coordinates on some geocaching website, and then it's fun to go out and try to find those things. So this says geocaching game piece. It's part of a worldwide game loved by GPS users who are on the internet. It's like a scavenger hunt. It's called geocaching. And then blah, blah, blah. It kind of tells you what geocaching is. If you found this container by accident, great. You can join in with us. We only ask, please don't move the container. The real fun is just finding it and recording a visit. Log into geocaching.com for more information. Please, only the date and your handle. Thanks. Oh, so I guess you're supposed to write your name on this little strip of paper, which I was gonna say isn't very long, but it does unfold, and it looks like some people have come out here and found this geocache. I feel like I found a geocache in a previous video, and a lot of these geocachers get really professional about it and have their own stamps, like this KMGAQT. Look at, there's a bunch of people who came out here over the years. Somebody was here in 2016. Somebody was here. Well, there's not a lot of dates on here. People mostly just stamp it with their handle, I guess. Golly, they all have stamps. I didn't realize the geocache community was single-handedly keeping the stamp industry in business. Well, there are a couple pencils in here for those of us who don't have stamps and have to use the old-fashioned method. Look at this. A good source of carbon, naturally high in fiber. A wise guy, eh? And then there's these two kind of like tokens in here. I guess these are, some geocachers are so fancy they have their own tokens. Look at this. Cat Simi and Je suis Canadienne. Ooh la la! Geocachers coming all the way from Canada just to out here to the Hawes Auxiliary Airfield. And we're not even in the Hawes Auxiliary Airfield anymore. And you can't even drive out here. You have to go on foot. That's dedication, man. Okay, I'm going to sign this thing. Okay, I might not have a stamp, but I wrote Wonderhussy, April 23rd, 2026. I'm going to go ahead and put that back in the old nut jar and stick it right back there under the bush, tucked in the rocks, just like it was when I found it. Wow, that actually gives me hope that my other memorial will stay where I put it. But actually, no, that's not hope. My hope is that I find some evidence that this underground bunker was over here, and then I gotta run all the way back to my car, drive all the way back to where I left the memorial, drive all the way back here, and hike all the way back out to put it in its proper place. But hey, I'll do it. Okay, I don't know. Google Maps says I'm not quite there yet, but it does look like this earth has been disturbed, and there's some kind of hole that was filled in there. And what's more, there's an old beer can in the bushes here that looks like it's been here for quite some time. Oh, Bud Light. And it's interesting how the side that was facing down is still so bright. I don't know. Any Bud Light drinkers out there? Well, probably not too many anymore. Well, there are, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. Bud Light drinkers out there, do you recognize this as a vintage 2008 or previous design? That would indicate that it's been here from the days when the bunker was here and kids used to party. Oh, look, a piece of concrete riprap. That could be a sign that we're on the right path. It's like this thing has been erased from the face of the earth. Oh my gosh, what's this? Hold on a minute. I was gonna guess this was a campfire ring, but it looks like maybe somebody else did set up a sort of a memorial here. I mean, that looks to me like the remains of an old plastic plant that probably did have flowers on it at one time, and it's like cemented into the ground here. So I'll bet you anything this is a memorial to Cody and Bodhi. Ugh. You know what that means. boy, I just ran a mile and I have to walk a mile back to my car, but man, it was worth doing it. Plus, I picked up 2 Mylar balloons. And besides, I'm sure Cody and Bodhi's parents would be happy to walk 10,000 miles if it could bring their kids back. Now, I don't know very much about Buddhism, but I'm pretty sure, or I was pretty sure, that Bodhi was a Buddhist name. So I looked it up, and it's short for Bodhisattva. Her full name was Bodhisattva, which in Buddhism, a Bodhisattva is a person who has attained enlightenment, nirvana, but instead of vaporizing or ascending to nirvana, whatever they do, a Bodhi chooses to remain in the cycle of rebirth to help others attain enlightenment. And so I happen to have with me in my car this little tiny Buddha that a viewer once sent me. If you happen to be watching this video, I love this thing. I brought it to a solstice ceremony I did once up in Mendocino, where I had to sit up all night long. It was a winter solstice and it was drizzling and freezing. I had to sit up all night tending this fire, but I waved this little Buddha in the smoke of the fire, and it was said to be good medicine by the people who were there. So this Buddha is fully charged. I've been rolling around with this Buddha for probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years at this point. I really like it. And I just feel like it would be the perfect thing and totally appropriate to leave right here with these roses. So I'm just going to nestle this little Buddha right back here against my beer bottle shrine. Sorry about the beer bottle, but I wanted to make sure the roses didn't blow away. And so I kind of tried to secure the bottle with a bunch of rocks nestled in next to the other plant that somebody left here. And what's more, it looks like there is some kind of actual live plant, or live at one time plant, growing out of this circle. So maybe, I don't know, maybe come spring that will bloom too, and this little memorial won't look so lonely and forgotten anymore. Meanwhile, while I was running back over here, I found another geocache. At least that's my assumption as to why this can was tucked behind these rocks in this cluster of bushes, and why, when you shake it, it sounds like there's something in it. Only thing is, the top is rusted shut. I can't get it open. I mean, you tell me, what good is a geocache if you can't open it? I don't want to bust it, but I feel like no one's going to be able to open it anyway. Ah, finally. Let's see what's inside this one. And apologies to whoever left this here for denting your geocache can, but it was no good anyway. Nobody could see inside it. Okay, so there's a film canister in it that probably has the little thing that you're supposed to write your name on. Oh, there's a disintegrated one of those pencils. Look at that. Boy, they weren't kidding when they said it was made out of fiber. Totally. Look at that. The lead from the pencils is totally intact. The pencil just completely disintegrated. This thing, who knows how long this geocache has been out here. There's another one of those cat simmy. And another one of the Je suis Canadien. Golly. And then there's a real crusty old, I don't even know, playing card? Oh, I guess it's a baseball card. Some dude named Braden Holter. Oh gosh, I don't follow baseball, so I'm not sure. I'm sure there's plenty of baseball fans watching who know exactly who he is. Now let's see what's in this film canister. Hopefully we can get this open. Oh my god. Golly, this thing, it's wet. I think that's why the can was rusted shut. Look, it's the same thing. It's one of those long pieces of paper to write your name on, but it's so soggy I wouldn't be able to unfold it. And even if I was, well, the pencil is too busted up for me to write my name anyway. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and put everything back in this rusted old can, even though this geocache and frankly the other one both kind of look like they've been long forgotten. And I still feel bad about busting this can. If Je suis Canadien or Cat Smart or whatever your name was happens to be watching, my sincere apologies. I'm going to put this can back the way I found it. But in the meantime, I'm going to spend the last few minutes before the sun goes down at the little Cody and Bodhi shrine that I made. Golly, it still blows my mind that there is or was no evidence of this 2-story underground bunker on Google Earth. I mean, the opening to get into that thing must have been really small, which makes this whole scenario even more terrifying. Can you imagine you're sitting in your Jeep with your boyfriend trying to get frisky. Some dude comes banging on your window with a gun, makes you get out and walk over to this hole in the ground that you have to crawl into, and then he shoots you. I mean, it's just terrible. My only hope is that Bodhi, who was named after someone who has attained enlightenment but chose to remain on Earth in the cycle of rebirth to help others attain enlightenment, was finally released to nirvana. Okay, I'm not exactly sure how that works in Buddhism. It's not like you ascend to nirvana like Christians believe you do to heaven. Nirvana is something you attain. And so my hope is that Bodhi and Cody have both attained peace. I mean, it's really not any comfort, but at least they're together for eternity.